Hey, it's Austin. I'm glad you're here. Hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to talk about the 5 types of bank accounts I believe you should have and probably everyone should have, assuming you're over the age of 18. Not going to be talking about investment accounts. That'll be a different video, just bank accounts. Okay, let's just get into it. First bank account everyone needs, is a checking account. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. This is where your paycheck goes into, and this is where you're able to allocate money out. So pretty much all your income probably is going to come into this checking account, and then you push the money out into all these different allocation buckets. So everyone should have a checking account. If you don't have a checking account, go open one. Next one, emergency fund. I think it's absolutely vital for everyone to have an emergency savings. Some people call it a rainy day fund, and then some people call it an oh crap fund in case something horrible happens. But have some amount of money, I'd say minimum $1,000, saved in an emergency savings somewhere. And this can go up to, it depends on how risk averse you are, or how likely you think you're going to need the money, but somewhere around like 3 to 6 months expenses is what I've heard. That's a fine measure, but you have to know exactly how much you're spending in order to make that happen. So got to be a budgeter, or at least have a good idea of what's coming in and what's going out. Anyway, at least $1,000. If you need to get like a root canal, you don't want to dig into investments or have to go into debt for that. If you have to go to the emergency room for some crazy reason, you don't want to have to go into debt for that. So emergency savings are key, should be independent of the checking account, in my opinion, totally separate bank account. And if you have a partner, this could be a joint account. So maybe the limit that you set for yourself to say, I want to get to this number, maybe double it. You know, if you wanted to do 1,000, but you have a partner, you make it a joint account, you're both on the account, $2,000 now. Or it's 3 months of combined living expenses for your entire household, something like that. So could be individual, could be joint. That's up to you and your partner, assuming you have one. Third, house checking account. Okay. I don't think I've heard this too many times from other people, but I believe your house expenses, including, let's say, mortgage or rent, depending on your living situation, utilities, HOA fees, stuff like that, anything you're going to have to buy for the box you live in, right? For the house you live in, should be in an independent checking account. And about 2 months prior to when you're going to have to pay the bill, you should be good to go. So if something goes horribly wrong, bare minimum 2 months of expenses for the house are already paid for. They're sitting in that house checking account. They're ready to go. And you can just do them on auto draft. Like everything's auto draft now. So the mortgage comes out automatically. But what you have to do is, after the money comes into your checking account, you transfer it to your house checking account, because you probably know exactly how much your mortgage is going to be. You probably know exactly how much your rent is going to be. You probably have a pretty good idea of how much your utilities are going to be. And you probably have an exact number for how much HOA fees are if you live in a neighborhood or something. So transfer that money from the personal checking account to the house checking. And in my opinion, the house checking should be in a totally separate institution. Like, I don't like this bank, but if you bank with Bank of America for your personal stuff, maybe use Ally Bank or Wells Fargo or, whoever else you like for your house checking. Completely different institution. That money is basically untouchable. And it is, man, this gives you great peace of mind in terms of, maybe you're in a tight spot and you're struggling, but you go check out that house checking account. You've already transferred that money there. You have bare minimum 2 months expenses to figure yourself out. Not to mention you have an emergency savings as well in case stuff goes really, really south. So making yourself nice and comfortable with quite a few cushions in case you fall. So that's kind of the purpose of this. So yeah, house checking, separate institution, probably 2 months of expenses for all the house stuff. And of course you have to replenish that each month. So that would be something you do on a monthly basis in order to make sure you're good 2 months from now. So you're always ready to go in terms of the house. So you're not going to get yourself in a tight situation. with your living situation. Fourth, house savings. So there is, let's say you own a house. You are probably going to have to replace the roof at some point, right? You're gonna have to reshingle the roof. Not a cheap process. Something's gonna break. Stuff always breaks. Washing machine breaks. Dryer breaks. You need some house savings because you don't necessarily want to run into your emergency savings every single time something goes wrong with the house. So just slowly building up a little bit of house savings each month as you can be really powerful. So that if the dryer breaks, you're not taking $900 out of your emergency fund, you're taking $900 out of your house savings and everything is good. You're still okay in the event that you have to go to the emergency room because you had some horrible health scare, and now you can take that out of your emergency fund. So just different funds, like I said, to have a bunch of different cushions in case you fall. You're not going to crack your head open because you got a bunch of cushions around. Also, house savings if you're a renter. If you're a renter or you have, let's say you have no rent right now because you're living with your parents, that's the ideal situation. Use a house savings to literally save for a house, right? So I still think you should have a house savings if you have no rent right now or if you are renting, right? So if you're living rent-free or if you're renting, still have a house savings. No, you're not going to have to replace the dryer because a landlord would do that for you or something like that. But you probably want to buy a house at some point, or you want to move out maybe into a nicer apartment at some point, and you're going to have to put down a few months' rent. So having a house savings, just dealing with the box you're going to live in, as beautiful as it could be, it's still just a box you live in. Got to make sure you have some house savings ready to go. Last thing, personal savings. This is a lot of savings accounts, I know, but I'll run them back down in just a sec. But fifth would be personal savings. So you probably want to buy some stuff for yourself. Maybe you want a new iPad. Maybe you want a new computer. You want a weight set. You want some dumbbells. I don't know, some new shoes that you've wanted for a while. It's important to be able to put a little bit of money away. Not a huge priority probably, but put a little bit of money away so that you can, save up for a certain purchase or save up for a vacation or something like that, so that you can actually enjoy the money that you make, which is pretty important. Not going crazy, but just building up a little bit of money. Okay, now I'm ready to buy that iPad, so I don't have to stress myself out. Definitely don't want to dig into emergency savings to buy an iPad or a weight set or some new shoes. You just want to take it from your personal savings. And I would say this is probably going to be the lowest number in terms of amount of money in the account, depending on the lifestyle you like to lead. So yeah, that's the fifth and final, in my opinion, personal savings. So let's run them backwards. Personal savings, probably the lowest amount. Stuff that you just want, that you're not ready to spend on right now, but you want it in the next 3 to 5 months. House savings. If you have a mortgage, right, and you own the house, stuff's gonna break, you definitely have to replace it. Should have some house savings. If you are renting, you're probably gonna wanna not rent at some point. So literally you're saving for a house savings. House checking, okay? 2 months expenses, ready to go, so that you don't have to stress and scrimp and freak out because, oh my God, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pay the mortgage. No, you're ready to go because you have 2 months ahead of time, slush fund, we'll say, ready to go. Second, going backwards, emergency fund. Only for emergencies, okay? Not for a new pair of shoes. That's what your personal savings would be for, right? And then the last one will be a checking account. This is kind of the top, the tier where everything trickles down into all those other 4 buckets we talked about. So checking account, emergency fund, house checking, house savings, personal savings. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Have a great day.